squeezed his hand, and Ike the Spike ran off basically,
karate chopped,
leaving like a bit of his hand on a gun as he ran away. And so Dougie is now in the police station with his wife Naomi Watts, and basically they're trying to sort of figure out what the hell happened here, who was responsible. They figure out that it was Ike the Spike, someone they've been after for a long time, and then meanwhile they nick Dougie's coffee cup and they kind of swab it and they take some of his DNA to find out who, which again I'm sure is an interesting point that's going to come back in a couple of episodes. They match it up with Agent Dale Cooper, for example.
Well, that's the interesting part, is that it would be interesting for us as viewers to see whose DNA is it, because we're as confused as everybody else about who this really is.
Well, technically, that is the body of Agent Cooper, isn't it?
Yes.
I think that's what we're supposed to
Certainly, as we saw in episode 10, where he went for his physical, where he appears to have lost considerable weight from the Dougie character.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, he goes and gets a checkup, doesn't he? And then it's kind of everyone is suddenly in shock that he's not this overweight Dougie anymore. Janie E, his wife, starts to kind of see her husband in a new light. It's fair to say,
an awakening of some sort.
Yeah, there's definitely an awakening, and there's a reigniting of a passion there, I think. And then literally cut to next time we see them, they're having rampant sex, basically.
Yep.
And it's a very awkward / funny / sweet,
Yeah, there's a few more emotions in there, but yes.
Yes, exactly. Very funny and stupid and goofy, but I quite enjoyed it.
My theory is I'm not sure what it's going to take to bring Agent Cooper out of Dougie, because at the moment they're trying a lot of things and nothing's working.
Yeah, nothing is working.
Nothing is working.
Yeah.
There's little bits, I suppose, when he was in the police station, he was looking at the American flag. And again, there was that little kind of realisation, that kind of, Agent Cooper's love of America. But still it didn't drag him out.
Yeah. That was a great little moment as well, and then he sees a woman walk past wearing red shoes.
Yeah.
He kind of glances and there's a close-up on the red shoes, and people again have different opinions about what that means. Some people think maybe it's like striking a distant memory of Audrey, who wore very similar red shoes.
I was waiting for that music, but he didn't do it, so I don't know. I was definitely waiting for the Audrey Horne theme at that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And then another theory people have is that it's Wizard of Oz, and everything of David Lynch's parallels Wizard of Oz. And of course, he came back from the Black Lodge without his shoes.
Of course.
And there are some people that have the theory that once he finds his shoes, he'll find his way home. Like Dorothy almost.
But he did,
and there's a lot of symbolism of red shoes.
This is true, and he did fixate on the power socket on the wall, which is of course how he came out of the Black Lodge into the world.
Yes, exactly. Without issues.
Yeah.
So, who knows? But that was an interesting moment as well. And, again, David Lynch is so good at stuff, just kind of making you take note of every line and going, ooh, that could be important, when actually it could not be.
There's people sort of theorising over, this is the name I remember because it's fascinating, it's the Fusco brothers are the three cops. They're brothers. And it's fantastic.
Yes, that's right. They've all got the same name.
They've all got the same name, so I assume they're brothers. The Fusco brothers. Yeah. And everybody's picking up on the way in which they stand, because they stand very uniquely, and the way in which the middle one only really is there for the laughs. He just tells these really sort of stupid jokes and the others laugh along. I agree with you. Sometimes I think David Lynch does it because he knows people are watching for this.
Yeah, totally. And it's this insane mix of kind of really quite immature, goofy humour.
Absolutely.
And this really deep and dark stuff, which we're going to get into. But yeah, it's crazy. But that's always what Twin Peaks has done well. And definitely in terms of tone, it did very much in some ways.
Definitely.
So, elsewhere in Las Vegas, there's still these other characters floating about. There's this guy played by Patrick Fischler, who kind of sits in this office and he has helpers come up to him. He's often sending people out to do various things, and we don't really quite know yet. He seems to want rid of Dougie because basically one of Dougie's colleagues, one of the insurance investigators that he was stitching up, comes Patrick Fischler character, and he tells this guy, I'll go and visit the brother, tell them Dougie $30 million payout. Or something, make an enemy of Dougie. So, again, it's more people that are out for Dougie's blood, essentially, or Agent Cooper's blood.
That's right. I mean, the one thing, actually, I'm not sure if we mentioned this, we now kind of know that Dougie had a car accident a few years ago. because that's how how he was in touch with this doctor. So either just, I mean, what I can't understand, I mean, obviously I know it's supposed to be sort of, I don't know, it's supposed to be modern times, isn't it? It's not supposed to be set 50 years ago or something stupid. But you feel like nobody's realising this guy's almost a vegetable. Nobody's doing any mental health checks.
It's so
bizarre.
It's hilarious, and it must be in some way to do with obviously what Dougie was like.
Yeah,
because none of them seem surprised that he is this kind of.
Well, we don't really have any idea. We only had one scene with Dougie, two scenes, sorry, with Dougie in it. One when he woke up with his special lady, and the second when he was in the Red Room.
Yes, before his head explodes.
Absolutely, as it does. Again, only here on Talking Peaks do you hear that. So yeah, we really don't know anything about Dougie, but we're getting these little pieces, as you say, that perhaps his character wasn't a million miles away from what we're seeing.
Yeah. And, it's kind of sweet and sad, and you think it's heading for bad places for Dougie's wife and kid.
Yeah.
It feels like they're kind of falling more in love with Dougie than they ever were. And who knows what's going to happen? How long is he? So I think Naomi Watts' character in for a lot of heartbreak towards the end of the season, possibly.
Well, she's falling for Agent Cooper, not Dougie. That's the thing, isn't she, really? I mean, that's the weird thing. Or really kind of neither. Because he's neither Dougie or Agent Cooper at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So weird.
Very weird. And then, we've got these Mitchell brothers who see him.
Did you laugh at the fact they're called the Mitchell brothers? I'm sorry, For UK audiences, that is a bit funny.
It's good, it's good. And then, these guys, we've seen them before. We've seen them kind of beat people up.
Yeah, they run the casino where Dougie won all his money, didn't they?
Exactly, so they hate Dougie already, and they've got these three women that sort of stand in their office, who kind of lean against the wall in this kind of tableau-like fashion. They wear these pink dresses. They look like something out of some kind of, I don't know what, 19th century can-can show or something.
Yeah. Traditional kind of Las Vegas, I suppose, that kind of old-school Las Vegas showgirl type.
Exactly, yeah. And then, we get to know one of them a little bit better in episode 10. One of them called Sandy, who, there's a scene when she's kind of trying desperately to swat a fly with a remote control, and then accidentally whacks one of the Mitchell brothers round the head.
Well, she whacked Robert Nepper, again, great actor, Prison Break, etc., etc. And again, really good in this kind of like simmering evil role. I thought he was going to kill her. Personally, I was surprised. I still think he might.
He was kind of quite nice to her about it. He was kind of like, "Oh, don't worry about it." She basically cries and feels terrible for the rest of the episode.
Pretty much.
He's just kind of like, "Oh, don't worry, it's fine." Honestly, it's a very funny, quirky, weird.
Do you feel that they're kind of brainwashed in some way? I kind of got this feeling that they're kind of drugged and placid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with anyone in that. They all feel slightly out of this world characters, and it's very strange. Maybe this is just how David Lynch feels about Las Vegas.
Maybe,
or maybe there's more to it. Who knows? But, definitely something weird going on there. But all of that in general I found quite entertaining. I found the Vegas stuff entertaining. As ever, I'm just desperate for Dougie to stop being Dougie, to be honest.
I think the majority of the Twin Peaks groups or forums or anything, I think this is their number one major complaint now. Is, it's great Twin Peaks is back, please give us Dale Cooper.
Yeah, it's true. It's torture. It's like it's almost worse than if Dale Cooper, hadn't been in the series at all.
It's almost as if that the actor said, you know what, I can't. And this was like, this was the runaround,
exactly. Yeah, it's really excruciating because I like pretty much. But if Dale Cooper was, it would be perfect. But it's very it's frustrating. But equally, I suppose that's what keeps everyone on tenterhooks.
I mean, there are so many great scenes coming. When he reunites with anybody in Twin Peaks, with Gordon, with Diane. I mean, there's a dynamic we've never seen.
Yeah, exactly.
All we ever knew of Diane was the tape recorder. So there are so many things that we need to see. And as you say, it almost feels like I don't want it rushed. So there's only a certain amount of episodes left. Don't drop me of these scenes, please.
That's it, and it's going to be such a big moment when it happens.
Yeah.
That I now can't imagine it happening anytime before the finale. I just don't think that's just going to, like you say, it's not just going to drop. It's not just going to happen suddenly 2/3 of the way in. At least is what I'm guessing.
I hope so.
Who knows? Yeah. So then let's move on to all the stuff that got in Twin Peaks, which I think is where most of the action is now happening. Actually,
Definitely.
which is nice.
We're getting more and more Twin Peaks, aren't we? In each episode, I think.
And I've been loving pretty much everything going on in Twin Peaks, actually.
Maybe apart from the bit where the two idiots in the sheriff's department choose a chair.
Oh yes.
That annoyed me.
Yeah, they're getting a bit much, Andy. You see.
What is it he calls her? What is he calls her? It grinds me every time he uses it. Pudgy or something. Punky. Oh, my skin crawls. I don't know why.
Yeah. It's weird. They've kind of made those two characters so much more extreme than in the first series.
Yeah,
you know? She was a bit ditzy, but she was still quite a good. You know, she was quite a good colleague and an ally, and she used to like secretly write down conversations over here.
And she was quite perceptive as well.
Yes,
I mean, I remember out in the woods, she was quite perceptive, and now she's just a comedy character, which is a shame.
Yeah. So if we start by talking about the people in the police station then, so obviously we've got Sheriff Truman, we've got the new Sheriff Truman, and we've got Hawk and Bobby.
Yeah.
And it's great, actually, that Bobby kind of now very much seems a bit more part of the team instigation.
Definitely.
It's great. I'm liking Bobby so much more now than I did in the original series as well, which is cool.
I have to say, episode 9 was a sort of spotlight for me on how good of an actor. Now, it's Dana Ashbrook, isn't it? How good an actor he is. The emotions that he showed in episode 9 were fantastic. I referenced, in an early episode, where he walked in on Hawk in the conference room and saw the picture of Laura, and how good that was.
There's a kind of old Twin Peaks moment. Yeah.
And throughout episode 9, he just shines.
Yeah, he steals it, and he has all the best moments. So yeah, let's start with that moment. So they're basically still trying to figure out what's going on with all these kind of case files they've opened up, where they uncovered Laura Palmer's diary page, and they go and see Major Briggs' widow, so Bobby's mum, and they go and see her. She's played by the same actress, and that's a really lovely scene. And she sort of says, and it's a very Twin Peaks moment where she sort of says, "Oh, my husband told would turn up like this."
Well, it was great because she didn't. She said one day, Sheriff Truman, Bobby, and Hawk will come, and she makes that point. She said, "I suppose you are Sheriff Truman." And it is that lovely bit where you get that little nod again to the fact that he's not the Sheriff Truman, but he's a Sheriff Truman, so the prophecy still works.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's really good. And then she goes and in true Twin Peaks style, she's got like a secret compartment inside a chair.
Brilliant.
And pulls out this kind of weird stick, this kind of tube. And then she goes and makes them coffee. And it was just like a classic Twin Peaks moment. The whole scene was just so...
Can't believe they all turned down the coffee the first time. I mean, come on.
I know. It was a lovely moment. And then Bobby actually knows what this kind of tube thing is. He says it's like a puzzle, and he knows how to open it, doesn't he? Which is a really nice moment as well. They take it back to the police station, and he does this weird thing where he kind of throws it really hard. He sort of lobs it onto the floor.
Yeah, kind of almost like really heavy. Throws it.
Yeah, and then he held it to his ear like it's some sort of tuning of hum. And then he throws it again, and then it opens. I mean, it's just hilarious. So yeah, he does that and pulls out this tile of paper, and written on it is like, it's basically a bunch of symbols, and he recognizes it as kind of map coordinates from a place that he used to go as a child with his dad. It's like a kind of make-believe place in the woods.
This is called Jack Rabbit's place.
Yes,
now, exactly. I immediately got a flashback to the film which has Jack Rabbit Slims, and I don't know why. And I don't know why, because I'm sure it has nothing to do with it. But the fact that it was Jack Rabbit was very sort of wow. Yeah. Now I don't know. I'm sure it's got nothing to do with it, but in my mind I was like, maybe it's near a restaurant or something.
Who knows?
Because Jack Rabbit Slims was an old 50s diner, similar to the Double R.
Yeah, totally. Very true. Although, David Lynch just loves those kind of old 50s kind of words and sayings and names, and, maybe it's just that. But But yeah, so who knows what this Jack Rabbit's place is? And there's a date on it that's written on this scroll of paper as well. And the date is like 2 days from it. So does that mean something big is going to happen in maybe in the next episode or in a couple of episodes' time?
Well, as well, just
again,
a flash
feeling of something is
just a flash to Las Vegas again. Did you notice that the Mitchell brothers were watching a weather report? Now, did you pick up on the fact that in 2 days' time the weather's going to change?
Yeah, exactly.
So again, he's leading you, and it's not like the weather was on in the background. Robert Nepper's Mitchell brother stops and turns the volume up for that part.